The first time someone asked me how much one of my bowls cost, I panicked. I had a formula, I had a calculator, and I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. But 5 minutes later, a collector handed me $350 in cash for a piece that I had intended to price at half that. Let me start something that might make you a little uncomfortable. If I walked into your shop and picked this up and asked you how much, would you answer come from confidence or from anxiety? Not what do I hope someone will pay, not what did someone on Instagram told me they got for theirs, but an honest answer. Because here's a hard truth, and most of us learn it late. Pricing problems are almost never about math. They're about honesty. Honesty about who we are as makers. Honesty about what this object really is. And honesty about where and to whom we're trying to sell it. I'm not here to tell you what to charge. I'm definitely not here to sell you a formula or a course or a magic spreadsheet that'll solve all your problems. I just want to give you some hard-won advice from one Turner to another. So I'm going to tell you a personal story. My first ever show was held in an art gallery that invited a group of local makers to create a pop-up in the parking lot during one of their events. I brought a wide range of my turnings. Huge live edge bowls, small ring dishes, I had some spatulas, some utility bowls, some decorative platters, Christmas ornaments, and some weed pot vases. You can probably see where this is going already. I was completely unprepared. Nothing was clearly priced. My plan was to use a pricing formula I picked up from another YouTuber. Something like diameter times thickness times 1.5 is going to equal my price. Before I'd even finished setting up, a collector approached my booth. Now, I later learned that this guy always arrived early, always brought cash, and was looking for something unique, a new artist, someone he could be the first guy to embrace. And he picked up this 15 by 6 inch Siberian elm live edge bowl. It was one of my nicer pieces. And he looked at me and he said, "Hey, how much?" I stumbled and I fumbled. I reached for a tape measure and my calculator. I looked like a spice merchant at a Turkish bazaar. And while I was still trying to do the math, he made me an offer. He said $350. That's more than double what my little formula would have dictated. And I just blushed. I thanked him. He peeled 7 crisp $50 bills off and put them in my sweaty little palm. And he walked away cradling it like it was like a prize, like he just won a trophy in an event or something. I was completely elated, but I was also completely confused. I didn't understand the venue. I didn't understand the object. And I didn't understand what a resolved piece means to a collector. I was swinging blindly. I didn't really understand what I was doing. Am I a hobbyist? Am I a craftsman? An artist? Or am I an entrepreneur? Needless to say, that was the high point of the event. I sold a few other pieces, but nothing with any purpose or clarity. That uncertainty showed, and buyers, they may not know why it feels off, but they can sense it. And it affects how they buy. Once I understood, well, then a spreadsheet started to matter. Not as a way to justify my price, but as a way to kind of understand my costs, my risks, and frankly, just my reality. Before you price anything, you need to answer a question that most people skip. What are you actually doing here? Not what you wish you were doing, not what sounds impressive at a reunion or a party, but what you're actually doing. There are a few broad categories, and none of them are wrong. Let's take the hobbyist first. You make things because you love it. The shop is your therapy. Selling is just a bonus. Maybe it pays for some tools or supplies, but that's not why you're turning. It's not about the Benjamins. If that's you, there's no shame in pricing to move your work. You recoup some of your costs. You clear space for the next project. The mistake is pretending that you're running a business when you're not. You know it, and the IRS is going to notice. The second one is the craftsman. You care deeply about fit and finish, repeatability. You want your work used. You want consistency. You strive for excellence. The price is you need to respect skill and time, but also the fact that you're making objects that people are going to live with and use. The next category would be the artist. Your work's about expression. Some pieces are going to take far longer to resolve than they are to turn. Not everything's going to sell, and that's okay. Artists don't price by the hour. They price by resolution, by voice, and by intent. The fourth category is the entrepreneur. Now you care about cash flow. Volume matters. Margins matter. Efficient use of time and materials matter. You're creating inventory that needs to find a loyal base and needs to move. That doesn't make you less creative, but it does change what you make and how pricing decisions get made. So what's the real problem? Trying to price like an artist while thinking like a hobbyist, or working like a craftsman while expecting entrepreneurial returns and margins. Misalignment is what's going to hurt your pricing. The same piece can be priced 3 different ways, and all 3 can be correct. It's going to depend on venue. Let's start with a gallery. Gallery is selling more than the object you created. They're selling a story, curation, confidence. And that comes with, well, higher expectations, higher prices, and usually commissions that can range from 30 to 60%. If your work isn't resolved at that level, a gallery price will feel fake, even to you. The next venue would be your local arts and craft shows. These buyers want something beautiful and approachable. They want to talk to you. They want to understand the work. They want to hear your story. They want to feel that they're supporting you and your journey in some way, that they're actually kind of partnering with you. Prices here are going to reward clarity, they're going to reward authenticity, and they're going to reward honesty. The third category is that community event or your church bazaar. Very different expectations, very different budgets, different reasons people buy. Here's a place where having 1, 2, or maybe even 3 categories laid out on your table of prices is really going to make some sense for you. Trying to force a gallery price here is just going to make everyone very uncomfortable. And frankly, that same goes for online sales like Etsy or Go Imagine. If your price feels wrong in the room you're standing in, listen to that feeling. You're probably right. This part's going to matter more than most people want to admit. Not everything you turn is the same kind of thing. We've got a couple different categories. Let's take a look at utility objects. These are bowls, platters, utensils that are meant to be used, daily pieces. It's honest work, unique, and it's handmade by you. They should be priced to invite use, not fear. While they may become a cherished family heirloom at some point, you want that to be well earned with a patina that's developed over years of loving use. The third kind of object is going to be what I like to call a decorative craft, something like this. It's beautiful, it's careful, but it's still approachable. These reward consistency and finish. They're not made to be put away in the closet, taken out once a year. They're made to be appreciated and admired. Not necessarily for your morning oatmeal or a spaghetti night, but they're to be displayed as part of your buyer's expression. The third category is that object d'art. It's resolved, it's intentional, finished when it's finished, not when the clock runs out. These demand confidence and not an apology when you're pricing them. If you price a utility bowl like art, it won't sell. If you price your art like a bowl, well, you're not going to be satisfied when it does. Again, it's about honesty for yourself and your potential clientele. Okay, now we can talk numbers. Not because the numbers are going to decide your price, but because ignorance is always going to be lying to you. You have to know your material cost, your consumables, your time. Yes, even if you're not charging yourself an hourly wage, you still need to be aware of your time. Your overhead, that's your lights. You got to keep the lights on. You got to keep your lathes running. You got to keep your tools sharp. You got to keep the sandpaper, your wax, your tape, your shop towels. All of those things add up. We're not doing this so you can justify a price, but so you can understand it. I'm going to share a simple spreadsheet, not as a rule book, but kind of as a mirror. Once you know the truth, you get to choose. Do I price for profit? Do I price for accessibility? Do I price to move some volume? Or am I pricing for the sheer joy of seeing a piece go to another home? But at least at this point, it's going to be your choice, a choice you made with full disclosure and open eyes. Yeah, I've went ahead and opened the spreadsheet for you on a project that I've already completed, just to give you an idea of what I'm doing to maintain honesty and transparency with myself about each of the projects I undertake. So it starts out with just the information about the piece you're doing. You've got a product price piece name for it, the species that you're turning, the date you started it, date you finished it. I have a couple of drop downs for you. Is it a utility, a decorative craft, or an object de art? What venue did you intend it to go to? Is it for a craft show, online, a commission, a gallery? You can pick those things as you go. And then I like to keep track of dispositions of pieces I've done, especially the ones that are bigger or more important to me. And you can pick, is it in stock still? Is it in your inventory? Have you sold it? And or did you gift it to somebody? And for my own personal records, I like to just slap a picture in there. It's just a right click, insert, drop a photo in, so I know what the piece looked like when we go back to it. Now the tab you're looking for. Remember, this is not a how do I price my work. This is a what do I have into my work. It's a transparency tool. It's a mirror for you to understand what it is you're actually putting into something and what that value looks like. All the fields in green are areas where you input your own data, and all the fields in orange or this salmon color here are calculated for you. A couple of things I'll point out on the materials, like this particular one, I bought a blank from the Cut Above Bowl Company from Kirk and Gary. Great, beautiful blank. It was $125 delivered to my front door, so that is a fixed cost. It's a sunk cost in this particular unit. There was no inlay material, no epoxy or anything. I go through to my consumables. I just needed sandpaper, a teeny bit of finish, a couple shop towels. There was no CA used on this one. My particular sanding discs are 3 inchers. I buy them in bulk. They're 15 cents each. I used 6 grits total, 80 through 400. It's 90 cents worth of sandpaper. Now the kind of confusing part here, before we get to utilities and overhead, is this labor. Now I personally use the starting wage up in my area at a Home Depot for a guy my age with my experience. I would basically get $25 an hour if I went to work at Home Depot. So whenever I'm calculating what was my labor cost in this, I'm not really looking at paying an hourly wage. I'm just trying to get a framework for myself, transparency. Like if I spent that 6 hours at a job, this is what it would have made me. So I never calculate in my actual cost, but I keep track of it just to remind myself that, this does have an opportunity expense when you're creating art. And in this particular case, it was 6 hours at $25. That's $150 worth of time that I want to be aware of. I'm not necessarily going to pass that on to my customer, but I want to be aware of it. So we add all that together. My favorite part of this is the wear and tear. This is what I call Tony's Future Problems Fund. So I take 5% of whatever my total cost is after I've sold a piece, and I push it over into a small account that I can track that'll help me pay for bearings, for a CBN wheel I need to replace, for some sort of broken tool. I don't use this money to fund new tools. This money is your Future Problems Fund. It's to repair things, to keep things running, to replace broken items. Keep that, that's what I do. You might find it's something different in your situation that works better for you. The other thing is the utilities, your shop overhead. I basically only include my utility bill in this. I'm lucky enough to have a separate meter on my shop, so I know what my utility bills cost. I average it out over the year, and it comes out to about $1 an hour for me. Now, I only have heat in the shop. I don't have air conditioning. That'll change. I'm not running a lot of tools simultaneously. Mostly the worst that ever happens is the air compressor and a lathe or a table saw is going at the same time. But it averages out to about $1 an hour. So if I was out there working for 6 hours at $1, that's $6. That's a real expense. That came out of your pocket. So you got to kind of keep track of that kind of stuff. So once you've filled out all of your gray fields here, these we'll call them khaki. The khaki fields, it'll automatically calculate for you. It'll give you a true cost with that awareness rate. Just as, again, I call it an awareness rate. I'm not adding this into my cost to the customer. And then a total cost, less your time here. Later, since this was a gift, I didn't have a selling cost. I didn't have to box it or pack it or put a swag bag in or a thank you card, so there was no cost there. And the other thing that people don't frequently think about is sales friction, it's called. Now, I've kind of defined that for you down here. But it's your booth fees, your gallery commissions, credit card fees. Those can take a lot. Those could be as much as your little Future Problems Fund. And then there's those Etsy platform fees, Go Imagine fees, those kinds of things. Those also add up and should be tracked and accounted for on a piece-by-piece basis so you understand exactly what your exposure is. And that when you're pricing something, again, we're not using this pricing to justify, or this cost model to justify our price. We're using this cost model to be transparent with ourselves. Use it as a mirror. So we're honest about what we actually have into something. The last thing that I do, and again, this is entirely a personal preference is I like to kind of reflect on a piece at the end. I like to go, did it feel resolved? And all of these here are just drop downs, just like in the front menu. Did the cost surprise me? Yes or no? Did my intended price align with the reality of what I intended to sell it for? And then the last one is, would I make it again? And you guys have followed me. You've seen my big end grain projects. Most of those end up with a big no at the end. They put so much energy and time. And I rarely get what I would consider to be a resolved piece after working on those. I usually stop before they're finished. That would bring them all the way to the art level. So that's the whole spreadsheet. It's a simple tool that I use for reflection. I'm happy to provide it to you if you like it. Absolutely free. You don't need to sign up for a mailing list. Just drop me an email. I won't put you on the list or sell your name or anything like that. It's just my tool. If you want to use it, happy to provide it to you. Hope that makes sense. Let's get back to the video. Well, here's what I wish someone had told me earlier. You don't need permission to price your work, but you do owe yourself honesty. If you're clear about who you are, what you're selling, what the object really is, pricing stops being painful. It becomes quiet. And that quiet confidence, buyers can feel that. And that's really what it's all about, honesty and confidence. Hey, that's some hard-won advice from one maker to another. Now get out there and turn something. Thanks again for joining me this week. I know it's a little different kind of video than you're used to. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, I'd sure appreciate a comment. Those likes, subscriptions, and shares do help my channel grow, and I do appreciate it. See you guys next week.